just wanted to say a few words ahead of this video because these videos come off the back of a huge lot of Eaglemoss Star Trek ships that I picked up recently. And so I've put up all the duplicates on eBay for you to have a look at, and I'll include links around and about the place. So if you've got any sort of interest in getting hold of a few of these to have a look at them for yourself, you can do so for a while at least, because it looks like they're not going to go flying off the shelves. I've tried to price them quite reasonably, so do please go and have a look. And without further ado, I will get on with the main video. Cheers. So having just done the Sabre class, here we have the Steamrunner class, and like the Sabre class, the Steamrunner was a first contact ship, and like the Sabre class, it's designed to be an anti-Borg attack vessel, and so it's much more compact than we've seen, ships like the Enterprise being. It has a sort of secondary hull here, but it's really just the engineering stuff that's in there. So warp core ejection ports in there. Again, we get this unusual scenario whereby the nacelles are not on pylons really at all, because the buzzards are actually in contact with the primary hull, and it's all again like the Sabre class. The nacelles are very, very heavily guarded, so they're not as exposed as they would have been in a normal ship type pre-Wolf 359. This is a whole different ball game now. We're very much into the Defiant style of design, where the warp nacelles aren't being kept miles away from the main ship on pylons. They're being brought right into the primary hull, and the magazine suggests that this is because advances in warp design have enabled this as a sort of concept. And I also know that there was a sort of an original mindset with the original series and those sorts of movies whereby the warp nacelles had to be in line of sight with each other, but these more modern ships put that to one side, so we get this sort of different approach to where the nacelles live. And so we get this. This is the Appalachia, I think this ship is. The fight is NCC 52136. It's a strange place to put the sort of the registry there. But as you can see, we have these involved in the Battle of Earth with the Borg in First Contact. So this is where we first see them, but they are then referenced in the Dominion War as well. So they are seen in action in things like A Call to Arms, for example. Quite a big sort of DS9 battle episode. So there is that, certainly. As you can see, more conventionally as compared to the Sabre, the launch bays are at are rear facing here, which is more usual for Federation vessels. And this kind of reminds me of the NX-01 Enterprise, except of course that the nacelles here are running straight into the primary hull. But the interesting side effect of this is that the ship's bridge is actually more shielded than would otherwise be the case. So it's sort of in a valley between the two buzzard collector sort of protrusions, which is apparently designed to give it obviously more protection from direct fire, rather like the Defiant, because the Defiant has quite a sunk down bridge module as well, which makes perfect sense. So it's quite a rectangular sort of shape overall, and a very, very narrow profile. So again, as long as you're not sort of looking at it from the top down or the bottom up, it's quite hard to hit, I guess, is the idea. Although it does look like the Borg have done a fairly happy job on it there. So quite a nippy little ship again. Warp 9.6 apparently is its maximum. Nice top-down side views here as well. Now, one thing I'm not sure about is photon torpedoes, because nowhere have I seen mention of it having torpedo launchers. which makes no sort of sense whatsoever. I would have thought that any ship of this sort of size would pack torpedo launchers. If a runabout can pack a torpedo launcher, I would have thought they would be able to as well. But I haven't immediately been able to spot one in the schematics or sort of on the model. But we'll have a close look at the model when I get it out. There's one in space there. And actually, now that I know what to look for, I'd probably be able to spot them more easily because it's a dead giveaway with the buzzards being right on top of the primary hull. In terms of spotting them, that's a dead giveaway, I guess. This is quite an interesting page here as well. These are all these various design phases that they went through in terms of what it could have looked like. And there's some properly strange ones there. But it's always fascinating to see the sort of the thought process that they went through in trying to sort of decide on a final look for it. I mean, that one's quite close. That's an interesting one as well. I quite like that one with the sort of the quad nacelles. Because we don't see terribly many examples of quad nacelle ships. But I don't know whether they'd be any good for redundancy purposes or not. I mean, I suppose the Prometheus went that way, didn't it? This is Picard getting Borgified. Simulation tubules there. So they could have done all sorts with those, but I guess they went for a relatively simple approach in the end. This one kind of puzzled me because they've said this is an on-screen example, presumably, of where this class is visible, but I can't actually see a Steamrunner there. I can see a Sabre, and that's an Akira, but I can't really see, unless that's supposed to be a, I don't know, is that supposed to be a Steamrunner down there? But it's an odd one for them to pick. There's probably a Steamrunner there, maybe. But actually, ironically, my eyes being more drawn to the Sabres there. So there she is on the back page there, little one. Sorry if it's gone a bit dark. I've lost one of my lights, unfortunately. I'll have to go back on charge. This has been quite busy today. So this is the... I'll actually just lift this up so I can put a bit more light on it directly for you. So here's the model. So as you can see, it's quite a decent sized model as they go. To pop my light down again so I can see what I'm doing with it for you. Hopefully that won't collapse on me. So here she is. Now let's have a look. There's a bit more weight to this one actually compared to some of the others I've just had a look at. Now I'm just looking here to see whether or not I can see anything that resembles a photon torpedo launcher, and I really can't. Strangely, I've got there's a little grill at the front here, but I don't know what that's actually for because the shuttle bays on this one are at the back, unlike with the Steamrunner, and then they're numbered this time, but I can't see anything that resembles a torpedo launcher. I can't even see very clearly. I mean, I can see a couple of things that could be phaser strips actually, but actually, it's in general, its armaments aren't sort of massively obvious to me. Just on the basis of this model, you can see the join there between the pieces a little bit as well, which is a bit unfortunate. But you probably wouldn't see that normally on display. But this is the bit that sort of reminds me most of the NX-01. You can see that is the way in which that looks from the side is very NX-01-y if the pylons and the warp nacelles weren't attached. I'm trying to think how it sort of goes across on the... Yeah, I suppose in fairness, on the NX-01, you'd have sort of an attachment going across underneath here, which you don't. It's just it's the warp nacelles that are actually forming the critical structural element that keeps the warp core attached to the ship, which is slightly unfortunate. Let me just set it up with a stand for you now, and we'll have a look at it that way around as well. I'm assuming it's this way around. Yes, that's a nice snug fit back there. It's a brave move actually, because you've got to be a little bit careful. I'm being very careful not to touch the actual pylons going across the navigational deflector there, just in case I knock it. Whoops. Okay, so this one also needs a little bit of TLC when you're slotting it in. I'm not quite sure how happy that's going to be overall later in life. I'm going to have a little look at that, I think, and just double check that's the right way to support it. But that's the Steamrunner class, and ironically, I've just realised I've actually got two of these. So and I haven't put one of them up for auction yet. So I will add that to my list of auction items shortly. So keep an eye on that if you're interested, and I'll drop the link in the description. All right, cheers for now.